Before we begin, thank you very much to Jack G for joining the Patreon campaign. Thank you very much for the support. Thank you for the contribution to help keep the channel going, the free content coming every single day. Always appreciated. My Patreon is exactly why I can continue to do this for everybody, and the reason why I can keep coming up with weird ideas for topics to talk about. This is a topic in a kind of a format that we've done very rarely because technically I can only do it once a year. This is Repaint, Retool, or Retire. So this is us looking at a completed toy line and trying to figure out how much it still has in it as far as life and what we still want to do with it after we've moved on. This one is a little bit weird because for the first time ever, well, actually for the first time in, geez, I can't even remember. It's been a while. But for the first time in a long time, we have a toy line that is continuing from the first year. Instead of being divided like Siege and Legacy was, or even in ways they did in the past with Beast Wars, go into the Transmetals, or Armada switching over to the Unicron battles. No refreshes whatsoever. It's just going straight into more Age of the Primes. So instead, we're going to look at the first year of toys, and we're going to make our determinations for those. A couple things to note, I'm using TF Wiki's release dates to determine. It's just everything listed in 2025. I know some of this stuff came out in December, whatever. We're going to ignore that, or else when we do year 2, I'm not going to have enough material. But also, this is a toy line that really focused on completely fresh new toys, especially the primes. So rather than talking about what molds are ready to be retired, this one's going to focus on what else can we do with everything that we got from this toy line. So we're going to dance around a ton of things as we kind of debate the future of these molds. And it immediately starts with my slides being out of order. That's fascinating. Okay, so it wants me to do Alpha Trion first. I will admit, the slideshow is starting me off with a difficult one, because what else do you do with young Alpha Trion? I mean, the mold feels weirdly generic, right? Like, in its existing phase, like, as it is now, I really do not see how you reuse this toy. I don't know any other characters you use of it. It's vaguely sweep shaped, but why would you use that when you just did the 86 Scourge and all the sweep repaints from that? So what do you do with it? I'm genuinely at a loss for what else you could do with the mold, especially considering it's a Voyager. At a smaller size, I might have ideas to throw around, but as it is, it's weirdly generic in that I could see them reusing this for a really obscure character that is currently escaping me, especially if they got into like retooling the shoulders and chest and went really heavy with it. But I'm at a loss as to what else you do with the toy. Like, it is a really difficult one. Now, I feel like at some point, they're going to put this mold out again. They're going to probably include some kind of cape accessory, switch up the head for the beard. That way it's like a proper Alpha Trion. But that's about it. That's about all I can really think of. So we're just going to let that one lie for now. I would say this is something that needs to be reused because it's a decent mold that's only gotten one run. I just have no idea what you do with it. Big Convoy, on the other hand, has plenty of good options. I mean, we've got the Nemesis that has to be done, right? That might be like the most infamous Nemesis Prime toy of all. I need that one to be made. And that one will be made. I almost guarantee that Nemesis repaint will happen. But we would also be looking for Ultra Mammoth, because that was a really clever figure from a BotCon era that I felt was devoid of creativity. So this one, yeah, this one's got legs. This one's got legs. We can absolutely see this one down the line. Nemesis, I guarantee you, will be a retail release. If they do Ultra Mammoth, that's Selects or an Amazon release. We'll see. I'm sure they'll do both, though. This one is probably at its end. So I know getting only 2 uses out of a Bumblebee mold are sacrilegious, but really what you can only do with the base mold is maybe you do maybe you do the like the Elite Guard repaint, but they don't really go into like the toy repaints from back in the day, which I think is a mistake. And really, there's no other character you can do. There's plenty of Bumblebee types. That's like how animated worked. Like all the bodies were like all the bodies were like serialized. So there was, to explain the repaints of everybody. But the closest you get is Cliff Jumper, and Cliff Jumper has has a very different body build from Bumblebee in this series, so that wouldn't be appropriate. So I'm at a loss. I don't think you can use this mold again. I think this is one you retire. I genuinely don't know what else to do with it. Okay, aerial bots are easy. We're going to have 5 aerial bots on this list, by the way, because I just grabbed every image and probably should have sorted through. We're just gonna skip through every aerial bot and tell you G2 repaint. That's basically the long and short of it, what you can really do with it. One of them is probably going to survive long enough to be a Nexus Prime limb, but that's about as far as you're going to get. So I don't know who it would be, but one of these lucky bots will probably survive until that day, and everybody else is probably going to go by the wayside. Oh boy. Oh boy. So number 1, I think the little Micronis is a good representation of its character, so I don't really see any real need to improve it with a second release. And after that, I genuinely don't know what you do with this. I'm sure there's someone who's going to come up with some idea, like, okay, like, Apex armor and, like, the Minicon is supposed to be Miko now. I don't know. That's probably the closest I would wager to, like, an actual answer to what to do with this. But even that feels like a disappointment. Like, even that feels a little lame. This toy was not well concepted. I love the idea. On the execution, I think it lets a lot down. On the final product, I think there's a lot of flaws to it. It's a weird idea. It feels like a prototype for pretenders yet to come. And in that, yes, fine. They need to be Voyager size, but okay, fine. This is proof of concept, if anything. But the toy itself, I'd be fine never seeing again. I didn't like that toy the first time. I can't imagine it's a character that I care about even less than Micronis. This one's fascinating. So I would love to see the toy again, because it is a really cool looking toy. Doing something new with it would be challenging again because it is such a unique body type. That said, in the books, he came in Death Source colors for a hot minute. So that is absolutely a repaint we could see down the line. But that is probably where the extent of this goes. I don't foresee a reuse of Onyx after this. Spoiler alert for IDW, close your ears for half a second. Unless they do a weird shockwave. You can open your ears again. But no, like, this one is incredibly limited. Maybe the blue repaint. That might be it. This one has definitely had it. The mold itself is fine. It does everything it's supposed to do. It's just, it's Tigerhawk again with just, better paint. And then Razor Claw is the one repaint it ever got. And a lot of people remember that and are nostalgic for it. I will admit, there's nothing in me that wants to pay $60 for this. But seeing it on a store shelf recently, that actually did push some nostalgia in my brain, because I didn't have Tigerhawk, I had Razor Claw. So I could be down for this toy if I could find it on clearance, but that's about the only situation. The toy itself is fine. I mean, I'm okay. I'm perfectly okay with this toy. But it really doesn't have anything to do after this. So you've probably seen the end of this one. Aerobot, G2. We can skip through those, so I'm not taking up everyone's time and making too long of a video, as usual. Heatwave. I think this is the pinnacle that this mold has ever achieved or will ever achieve. It's ill-fitting for most of its other uses. Bulkhead really does not feel right with this mold. I don't care how many comic books depict him with this body. It just does not feel right. And then you can say the same thing for Prime Breakdown. I really do not like the way him and Knockout came out. This, I feel like, is the best usage of this mold that it ever got. And even this is not entirely accurate, but it feels correct, if that makes any sense. That said, I think this is done. I don't really want to see this mold. I think audience opinion on this mold at this point is so negative. I think you just shelve the mold and just call it a wash. This one we don't need to see again. Venon's another hard one. Venon is weird because all of the other deluxe Insecticons are retooled from the existing Insecticons, which means this one is the odd bot out among all of them. What do you do with Venom? See, I look at it and go like, I feel like there are some bug transformers you could potentially make from that. You could do something weird like retool him into like a normal Insecticon, so he kind of matches the other three. That way you've got 4 and 4. That's a very weird, lofty idea that is probably not going to happen. Yeah, I really don't get what they do with this one. Now, I feel like this is another one of those where, like, technically the body type is so generic-ish that you could probably get away with doing a lot of things with him that I'm not thinking of. You know, do you want to do those transforming bats that turned into bombs and started trying to blow up Blur and Wheelie in 5 Faces of Darkness? Okay, well, basic shape, you just turn him into a bat. That's it. Yeah, because it's really just like the head, the wings, and the bug legs. And then if you take all of that off, what you're left with is just a bot that folds up into like a little box. And you could stick other things in the place of those parts onto said box to make something else. What that would be, I don't know. But it feels like if there is a retool in mind for this one, it's a crazy one. It's one of those like really weird, you can't predict it ones, because it's just, who would have thought that mold could do that? That kind of thing. I don't think we've seen the last of this mold, because it would be crazy to do such a weird figure without any idea for reusing the mold. But there you go. Okay, this is another easy one. G2 repaint is definitely going to happen. I believe Hasbro has already stated that we are absolutely going to get Ruination. I don't know if Brawl made it onto this list. I do not see him in the folder, even though I know for sure I had it. I thought I had Brawl last year. Oh well. Release dates are fun. We're sticking to the release dates from TF Wiki, but yeah, this one you could see again. And again, this is also one that could end up as a limb for Nexus Prime if they do go all out for an actual combiner Nexus Prime, because that mold will need a helicopter. Also, yes, this mold has a long history ahead of it, because not only is it likely to be used for blades once we get around to the Protectobots, it's also very likely to be used for an Alpha Bravo, which Hasbro has kind of indicated that they are aware that those Combiner War exclusive Combiner characters do have some popularity to them, and they are keeping that in mind. So we may or may not have seen the last of Alpha Bravo, and I feel like this mold would be a good time and a good way to bring him back. Micronis, not Micronis, we dealt with him. Alchemist Prime, we've talked about in the past. You could absolutely do a Cyberverse recolor of this toy, no problem, and some of the details wouldn't match up exactly, but like I would love to just have this released as Macadam, just like that version of Macadam. I do like this mold a lot better than people tend to do. I find that's what I discovered. But I like it well enough that I wouldn't mind seeing it again. I really do like the figure. I think this not only is something that you could probably figure out another character to turn it into, but we do have a good repaint option in mind for it. I think Grimlock is done. We've gotten the reissue, we've gotten the Chatterglass, we have gotten the G2 comic book, we have gotten the G2 toy. We've done everything we can with this Grimlock mold at this point. I think before it deteriorates any further, it's time to shelve it, maybe release it for like an anniversary piece later on, because it is a very good toy, but we've gotten it plenty of times now. So, they never repainted Star Convoy into anything ever because the toy line kind of died after they did him. So we don't really have anything to base this on. And even fictionally, there's never been a repaint. There's part of me that says, like, oh, well, it's an Optimus. It'll be Nemesis eventually. But maybe not at that size and price point. No, that won't. But also, I feel like reusing this mold diminishes what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the 13th Prime. It's supposed to be, like, the next level to God or whatever in the Transformer fiction. I don't think it should be repainted or retooled. And frankly, of all toys, Titans are the least likely to ever be repainted and retooled. They're more likely to be reissued at some point when the demand is high. So I expect a reissue at some point, probably toward the tail end of Age of the Primes. I do not expect any kind of real reuse, though. Same again, G2. But also, this is probably going to be the frame for Nexus Prime once that one is actually released. So we'll keep an eye out for that. G2, we talked about that one. I really like this mold, and it does have some crazy options out there. So we've already gotten the obvious one of Excellion. The bigger option here is Shattered Glass Goldbug, because Hasbro already did one, but they used just a regular Bumblebee mold, and that's not the point of Shattered Glass Goldbug. The point of Shattered Glass Goldbug is to be a complete contrast, like a complete 180 from what you would expect a Bumblebee body to be. In that, the one that they did fails us, and this is where you need to take another shot. Aside from the fact, it's a gorgeous color scheme on that mold, and would absolutely sell well if they did it, just because it looks cool. Like, you can't get over, like, it just looks cool. This one also has some fun options. So, you do have a very easy troop builder here in the production type noise maze, which is the white one that was briefly seen in Cybertron. That's an option. Ratbat is an option. I think that is one of those toy exclusive repaints that people knew well enough because it was kind of genius. You would think this mold would be so unique they wouldn't be able to fit or match anything to it. No. Dreamwave Ratbat pretty much fit the bill pretty well. This would be a really, really cool figure to do that Ratbat out of again. I would go for that. Figure out, like, now you'd have to do evac, because, you need to do Cybertron evac with a new toy, and then we can do Springer, just to recreate that 2-pack. I don't know. I am living in my nostalgia right now. Do not mind me. G2 repaint, we know. If Megatronus isn't retooled into IDW Autobot Megatron, I am going to be disappointed forever. That feels like the only reason why his tank mode has that weird barrel extension that doesn't do anything in robot mode. You just have to find a hole in his back, plug it in, and be done with it. Everyone thought for a while that this was going to be a pre-tool for 86 Megatron, despite this toy physically looking nothing like, G1 Megatron. Like, even in, like, overall body shape and proportion that you would have to stick to on a remold, it doesn't work. But that big, wide chest and heavy shoulder look, that fits IDW. That, it would take a lot of retooling, but you can't tell me it wouldn't be popular, because it absolutely would be. That is still a very popular depiction of Megatron that Hasbro themselves have never completely done. This is the only shot I can ever see of getting that done. Ever. So, they gotta do it. They have got to do it. Like, this is the opportunity. This is the figure for it. I'll be very upset if they don't. Red Alert's already gotten one retool, and frankly, I think it is a wet fart of a retool. And it only loosely fits the character of Flatline, and it looks cool, don't get me wrong, but You know, that's a super obscure character to put any kind of attachment to. Granted, he does have other repaint options, but they aren't great. You've got the Power Links repaint, which I think is inevitable. I do think we will get that. And you could probably, if you really want to go that far out there, he had he had an Energon Prowl repaint, which would be wild for them to actually make. So I don't anticipate them doing that. I can't say Cannonball because this version never came out as Cannonball. But there you go. Yeah, I think I don't mind this mold. I think this mold is better than the shelf warming has given it credit for, but I don't think you can do much else with it beyond that. And those are honestly pretty tame reuses. Not a lot of buzz generated. Skybite has two repaints that I would love to see. One of them is just Beast Wars Cyber Shark, because it's wild that we think so much of Skybite considering he's a repaint. He's a repaint of a previously released toy, and there's been multiple Skybite molds made after the fact. None of them have been repainted into Cyber Shark, and it's making me feel bad for Cyber Shark. I feel like if they ever do some kind of like multi-pack once the Transmetals are actually finally done and out, that like you could bring this back as just like a weird like multi-pack versus inclusion type of thing. No, this is like a Cyber Shark repaint of him would be ideal for one of those like big 4-pack Target boxes of just like super random repaints that only a few people asked for, so we're just throwing them all out at the same time. That would be great. What would be really fun is if it was the actual Hell Warp mold, like the Cloud repaint of the previous Voyager Skybite, redone as Skywarp colors. It would look sick. No one on the shelf would know who it was, but it would look cool. So you have that. That would be a selects release easily. But no, you got options on Skybite. You've got options on Skybite. Solus Prime is tricky. Now, there are repaints you could do. Like, I really wouldn't mind seeing her as one of the other female Autobots from episode 1, so they could have some unique figures. I believe Firestar was the one that transformed into a truck of sorts in G1 when we saw her. So, there's a potential there. But also, I don't think this mold's all that great. So, I would be hesitant to see it again. Ultimately, I don't think they're going to reuse this one, both because of fan reception to its first launch, and also there is a lot of unique tropes to the design that I would think would take a lot of retooling in order to turn into anybody else. There's ways you could do it, but I don't think there's necessarily like a really, really good choice out there for this one. Prima has one built in. Because that head is straight up the one from 5 Faces of Darkness. So to do G1 Prima from those episodes in the darker bluish gray, properly colored helmet, etc., retooled chest to match the cartoon, that's an easy reuse. And I feel like that is a reuse that we will inevitably get. So that one comes to mind a lot. That one comes to mind every time I think of Prima, because that's the version I'd rather have. Crasher is interesting. So we've gotten this mold a lot. This is technically a siege mold because we're still using parts from that Mirage as part of this toy. I really do like the mold, but I do think we only have one use out of it. Now, granted, I know we're getting another use out of it because the rumor mill tells me we're getting him as part of a 3-pack. So he's going to be in cartoon accurate, no translucent plastic colors. But I feel like there's one more use out of this that I would love to see. I have no idea if we will actually see it or not. The use I need to see out of this, we have never, ever, from any Mirage toys released in the US, we've never gotten the Diaclone Red. Using that toy accurate head right there, and the Diaclone Red, that would be the one take on Mirage I would be okay seeing again out of this mold. Otherwise, it's been around a long time. It's a good mold, but I do think it's time for it to go. Do a Modern Classics Mirage. That toy was amazing. And that pretty much does it. So there's a few, like, if we get into like exclusives and things like that, and like multi-pack releases, Amazon exclusive, whatever, then we could have gone on all day about like variations of our other molds, you know, like, but like, I don't want to start throwing like Carnivac and Iron Fist. Oh, sorry, Fistitron, whatever the trademark says. I don't want to start throwing those around because we'll be here all day. I want to stick to just main releases and like the stuff that was definitively Age of the Primes. There's a lot of reuse potential in the molds that are out for that toy line, but so many of those are so hard. Like even now, like, you know, 20 minutes later, I still don't know what you do with Alpha Trion. I still genuinely don't. It's generic, but also specific, and I don't know how it manages that, but it does. So, those are the thoughts and ideas. We'll probably see a lot of these molds again, especially since we do have confirmation. The primes are not sacred. They are, you know, they're fully willing to repaint and retool the primes as well. So, knowing all that, let me know in the comment section what your ideas would be. If you've got an idea for a toy that stumped me on this list, like Alpha Trion or Venom, by all means, let me know in the comment section below. And as always, I will see you next time.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.